Good morning, everyone, and happy Veterans Day. I'm so thankful for those who are in the military, who have served in the military to fight for our country and for our freedom. My dad is retired Navy, and one thing I did after writing my book is start my podcast under the name Mother Goins, and I interviewed him. About his life story. I wanted to document it, especially since he had run into a couple health issues and at one point couldn't walk for like 8 months. And so my kids love their Lolo. And so I want to document his story, but also my mom, Lola, who's probably the strongest woman I know. I wanted to document their story because they're the inspiration of my relationship first approach. So one thing I'll never forget that he had told me is that when he wanted his own family in the Philippines, it was very terrible, he said, because everyone in the family was fighting. He said frying pans were flying everywhere from house to house, and he didn't want that for his family, that he wanted us to be unified. He wanted us to be just strong in relationships. And so relationships for me is what I bring to education. That's my expertise. It is centered. It's the topic that is centered around my practice with my students, is the topic that I am passionate about for other educators. I feel as if, and I've been to many districts and different schools, but if you have strong relationships with other colleagues in the building, you're more likely to stay. If you have strong relationships with the community and students, you're most likely gonna put in the hard work. And at this time where education is changing, I think relationships is the key ingredient towards just perseverance, grit, and success. And so we don't need to put out our frying pans just yet, because I believe as a resilient teacher mom and teachers as partners, we can be onto something and normalize healthy relationships in the lives of educators. The difference with teachers as partners, and I had to do a lot of soul searching. So I have been doing my relationships first partnership approach in classroom management for, a long time. I created in 2009, returned back to the classroom in 2016, and had been using it in 2016 until this day. And after COVID, I had to adapt and change some things to the approach, but essentially it's still the same values I teach my kids over and over again. And I didn't know, but I operate with those values in how I raise my kids, and how I'm a wife to my husband, and how I kind of co-parent and co-team with him, but also how I am with my colleagues. I was a spirit morale chair for 3 years, and I loved the work. It actually allowed me, with my teacher hat, to be an encourager, to be someone that helps and cares for my colleagues. But I met them under the same expectations I build part, which is under being prepped and ready. So organizations and systems of support, attitude awareness, which means emotional health. And I also met them with respect and responsibility, because it was a mutual relationship. They knew that they could trust me, and I was in relationship with them to mutually benefit them, and I could trust them. And then teamwork. I just believe people are better when they're together, and so community is really important. And one of my objectives as being a spirit morale chairman was to build that community within the school. And that came in a lot of different ways: knowing people's names, giving little gifts here and there, giving cards when I know, something important happened in their life. And also just hosting some really stellar events that is kind of that was kind of home to our community, and inviting those that were in our community for the past to join with our community for the present, and also that we can welcome future community members, future student teachers, or even people who are looking for employment into the building with open arms. And so that's what hospitality is all about. And so that is why I had decided to open Teachers as Partners, because that's what I want to do as my business. So I'm not immune to working multiple jobs. I worked 4 jobs when I was in college. So if you knew me in college and I flaked out on you, I was working 4 jobs and going to school. I've worked 2 jobs since I was 12. In my book, I think I said I worked 21 jobs by the time I wrote that book. Well, after the book, add 3 more jobs to that. So I've worked a lot of different jobs, and so I've carried with me a lot of different skills. But I also worked those other jobs for survival. So I came from a working class family. I was one of 5 kids, and we were the first to graduate college in America. And we're the first ones too to kind of live out our parents' dream of the American dream for us. And that was rocky for all of us, but that also meant that to obtain and sustain the American dream, our family, we are, strivers and survivors. And so we've learned how to not work the system, but work around what the system gives us to get what we need done, to still obtain what we want in the world. And that might be, for some of my brothers and sisters, that might be homeschooling. For my one brother, that might be working from home. That might be that my sister-in-law works the night shift, my brother works the day, I remember when we were first married and we had kids, Ben was working urgent care until 11, and that just meant my kids went to bed at 11:30, so that they could see their daddy. And so growing up, because of where we came from, we didn't really give into a lot of social norms because we were kind of outside of that. And then becoming an adult and living out our American dream, we had things that other people had. We just didn't obtain it the same way that other people did. And sometimes I feel like we worked 10 times harder. So that's kind of where I came from. And so coming into education, I guess I fit very much in, because educators get low pay. We work extremely hard. And I just felt like that was part of the job. But every time I had a kid, when I cared about my marriage, when I went back to school, and now I'm in school, have a business on the side, have kids, and have a classroom, you start to trim off the fat. And it's almost like HIIT workouts or clean eating. You start to only marry yourself to what works. And that's because you want a margin of space so that you can still be human and be a whole person while you're at work, and you don't want to sacrifice the things that are important to you at home. So that's why I opened Teachers as Partners, because throughout my whole life and career, I kind of am like my dad. I don't think frying pans are necessary. I think if you value the people that you're with, and I always value the people that I meet, and I know what healthy relationships with those people, and they look different for the different people I'm in relationship with. But if I know my parameters when it comes to relationships with other people, I'm just a healthier person. I know the areas that I need to invest in. I also know where boundaries I need to set. And for the first time in many years, I am okay setting those boundaries, doing what I need to do to take care of myself, so I'm a better person for my students, but a better wife for my husband, and a better mom for my kids.